New Zealand vs West Indies 8 to 13 Feb 1980 Dunedin. The West Indian side that came to New Zealand in 1980 may have been a force to be reckoned with, but the host, featuring one of the all-time greats in Richard Hadlee, proved they were no pushovers in their dramatic showdown. Indeed, Hadlee proved early on just with the talent he was, taking 5 wickets to limit the West Indies to just 140, with the Desmond Haynes offering an substantial resistance with a gritty 50. New Zealand also proved that the pitch was a tricky one for the batsmen as their lineup faced similar struggles, but important half-centuries from Brian Edgar and Hadlee, demonstrating his all-round ability, ensured they ended their innings with a lead of over 100 runs. The West Indies, well behind in what was shaping up to be a low-scoring game, would once again have folded quickly had it not been for Haynes. While his teammates were being terrorized by who else, Hadlee, who ended up with 6 wickets in the innings, Haynes played out a determined century lasting more than 7 hours and constituting almost half of his side's total score of 212. Despite his best efforts, though, the Black Caps were left with a mere 104 to chase. Yet, it may seem simple on paper, the home batsmen had to contend with a difficult wicket as an awe-inspiring pace attack. Michael Holding, Colin Croft and Joel Garner relentlessly prepared the batsmen as wickets tumbled, with the bowlers only fired up by what can be described as some questionable umpiring decisions in favour of the home side. The 6th wicket fell for just 44 runs, the 7th 10 runs later, and when the key wicket of Hadlee was taken, New Zealand still needed 31 runs to win. Their tail-enders, however, succeeded with their top order had failed after Len Scanes was dismissed for an important 19 as their side inched over the line. What had appeared a routine run chase had become anything but, only making the New Zealanders' joy more palpable when they finally made it. Pakistan vs Australia, 28 September to 2nd October 1994, Karachi. The Pakistan and Australian sides that play out a thriller for the ages were among the strongest in their sides' histories. The home team boasted a team containing Anwar, Inzamam, Waseer and Waqar, while the tourist lineup featured the Waugh brothers, Warne and McGrath. It was the latter, though, that took the ascendancy early on. Winning the toss and choosing to bat, the Australians posted the decent total of 337 first up, thanks in large part to important middle-order 50s from debutant Michael Bevan, Steve Waugh and Ian Healy. A stylish 85 from Anwar meant that Pakistan's response began well, but their middle order crumbled after he was dismissed by off-spinner Tim May. Their eventual total of 256, only reached thanks to some late hitting from Wasim Akram, meant they conceded a lead of 81 runs. Australia appeared to be pressing home this advantage to good effect with a century stand between David Boone, who would go on to make an unbeaten century, and Mark Waugh, easing them into 171 for 2 late on the 3rd day. Wasim and Waqar, though, were never to be discounted. With devastating spells during the evening and the following morning, they skittled the Australians for 232, with Wasim claiming 5 wickets and Waqar 4. Pegging Australia back had been a great effort, but the bulk of the work was still to come, chasing down 314 on a spinning wicket against the prodigious talent of Vaughan and his teammates. Anwar got Pakistan off to a good start once again as he made 77, but Vaughan soon stuck back. He took 4 wickets to reduce the home side to 184 for 7, with 130 still to make. It looked like time was up for Pakistan, but Inzamam had other ideas. Batting brilliantly with the tail, including making a 50 partnership with last man Mustaq Ahmed, he inched his side closer and closer to the target. With just 3 runs to get through, the drama reached its peak. Warne bowled an unplayable delivery to Inzamam, who outside his crease was beaten all ends up. Yet wicketkeeper Ian Healy, presented with a stumping chance that would have won the game for his team, managed to miss the ball completely. The ball went straight through him and away for 4 byes as Pakistan managed to sneak home in the most unbelievable of circumstances. West Indies vs Australia, 26 to 30 March 1999, Bridgetown. To any West Indian fan, the Bridgetown Test needs no introduction. Rightly considered among the great cricket matches, it is memorable for fine performances on both sides, a remarkable comeback, and of course the necessary tight finish that left one unfortunate player with a nasty sense of deja vu. Batting first, the Australians seemed to be in considerably more trouble at 36 for 3 than they were the best part of 2 days' play later when they cruised to 425 for 4, thanks to centuries from Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. Though they suffered a late collapse, their eventual total of 490 seemed to be a neigh on unassessable. Though the West Indies batted admirably when they finally got their chance, their 329 all-out, of which opener Shrevin Campbell's 105 was a definite highlight, still left them with a hefty deficit. Though where their defeat in Karachi half a decade previously was sparked by Wasim and Waqar, here the Australians were undone by a similarly capable bowling partnership, Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose. The former took 5 wickets to blast out the tourist for just 146, leaving the West Indies a tough run chase of 308. The finale was high in drama, with each team looking in wicket became 105 for 5 before a hefty rebuilding effort saw the West Indies reach 238 for 5, only for that effort to be scorched as they lost 3 more wickets for 10 runs. Seemingly the only permanents in an innings of great change were the two legendary figures who went head to head. Brian Lara, who made the most sublime of centuries, and Glenn McGrath, who claimed 5 wickets. Lara would win the day, though, putting on a crucial 50 partnership with number 10 Ambrose and seeing his side to victory alongside lastman Walsh. There had been a late twist, however, as Ian Haley dropped Lara with 7 runs still to get. Once again, the normally sublime wicketkeeper became the unlucky fall guy for a 1-wicket defeat. West Indies vs Pakistan, 25-29 May 2000, St. John. Just over a year after their famous victory over Australia, the West Indies were at it again, this time against a touring Pakistan side. This time, however, they managed it without the talismanic Brian Lara, who was out due to injury. New captain Jimmy Adams won the toss and put Pakistan into bat, and though they lost wickets regularly, they were bailed out by a fine century from Yusuf Yuhana, who guided them to 269 all-out. The West Indies fared almost identically with the bat, as half-centuries from Shivaren Chandrapal and skipper Adams led the way to a total of 273, as Wasim Akram took 6 wickets. With just 4 runs between the teams, it was anyone's match. It would remain so close right until the final denouement. Pakistan's second innings failed to properly get going, as all the West Indian bowlers contributed wickets to limit them to 219, as Inzamam made a solitary half-century. The West Indian run chase recovered from a shaky start to assume a strong position, as Adams and Wavell Hines shared a 60-run stand for the 4th wicket. When Wasim struck to remove Hines, though as one of the 11 wickets he would take in the match, all bets were off. No other batsman would go on to reach double figures, but all helped to chip away at the target alongside the ever-dodged Adams. After the 9th wicket fell with 19 runs still to make, the drama increased even further. Last man Courtney Walsh was lucky not to be given out, caught when he appeared to give a bat-ped catch to short leg, with Sakulin Mustaq missed a simple run-out opportunity. Either would have won the game for Pakistan. As it was, Adams was the hero, as his innings of 48 not out lasting over 5 and half hours was just enough to see his side to victory. Pakistan vs Bangladesh, 3-6 September 2003, Multan. As Bangladesh went into the last match of an already lost series against Pakistan, a glance at the test record would have made clear how torrid a time the team had had since gaining test status. 23 games played with no wins, 1 draw and 22 defeats. In this match, though they would take a well-established Pakistani side right down to the wire. Opting to bat first, Bangladesh had a steady first innings with contributions from several players, with captain Habibul Bashar's 72 the standout performance. Their total of 281 would end up giving them a 106-run lead over Pakistan, who were rolled over for just 175 thanks to Mohammad Rafiq's 5-4. The home side were not about to surrender so easily, however, as their bowlers came roaring back to pick back Bangladesh, dismissing the top order cheaply. Batsman Alok Kapali was unfortunate to be on the receiving end of a particularly poor decision, having been given out despite Pakistani wicketkeeper Rashid Latif clearly dropping the ball. Only a key 42 from Rajin Saleh and some useful contributions from the lower order kept them afloat, as they limped to 154 all out, leaving Pakistan a target of 261 to win. Their chase did not start well, as they lost regular wickets to fall to 164 for 7. Only Inzamam ul Haq, the hero against Australia nearly a decade previously, stood tall, scoring one of the finest centuries of his career. Partnered by obdurate tailenders, he managed to pull off an incredible turnaround, hitting the winning runs with only lastman Yasir Ali for company. The Bangladeshi players were understandably devastated, having come so close, and would have to wait until 2005 for their first victory, but the day belonged to Inzamam. Sri Lanka vs South Africa, 4-8 August 2006, Colombo. The two sides may only have contested a 2-match series, but it was one packed with some of Sri Lankan cricket's most memorable moments. In the first game, Mahela Jayawardene and Kumar Sangakkara cemented their places as bona fide greats by compiling Test cricket's largest ever partnership of 624 runs. The second test, of course, was a far closer affair. South Africa recovered from losing both openers for Ducks to post a creditable 361, with Ashwell Prince and AB de Villiers both falling just short of centuries. Sri Lanka's top order were nowhere near as solid, falling to 86 for 5, as South African quicks Makhanya Nitni and Dale Steyn proved a constant threat. They needed the lower order to bail them out, with Chamara Kapugedera, Parvez Musharraf and Chaminda Vas all making 50s to keep their side in the game, conceding a 40-run first innings lead when it could have been far worse. South Africa although kept the pressure on, as Gibbs made a resolute 92 and Mark Boucher 65 in their second innings. As always, Sri Lanka's key man with the ball was Muthaiya Muralidharan, who took 7 wickets in the innings to take his match total to 12, as the tourists were bowled out for 311. The target of 352 may have seemed a tall order for Sri Lanka to chase to win the series, but if anyone could do it, it was surely the man who had scored a triple century in the previous test. Sanath Jayasuriya got the innings going with a characteristically aggressive 73, but he was outshone by the unparalleled Jayawardene. Given the situation of the match, the century he made has to be considered among his greatest ever. Making South Africa pay for dropping him in single figures, he batted magnificently to get his side within touching distance of a famous victory. Fittingly though, there was to be late drama. With 11 runs to get and 4 wickets still in hand, Jayawardene went for a lusty blow off Nicky Boje but could only edge to slip, giving South Africa a glimmer of hope. Panic set in for Sri Lanka, 2 more wickets fell, but number 11 Lasith Malinga managed to hold his nerve, sneaking a single off his first ball to win an epic for Sri Lanka.